Difficult game away in Bergamo on Tuesday night for Chelsea. They play Atalanta, and it's been a difficult week for Enzo Maresca. Draw with Arsenal was widely seen as a positive, I think, bearing in mind they were down to 10 men for so long. But then they turned in a terrible performance at Leeds, then went away to Bournemouth and it was 0-0, which, okay, drawing with Bournemouth is not a disgrace because Bournemouth actually are a very good team, but they're on a terrible run at the moment, and you would expect Chelsea to at least show up and try and get something from that match. Has that week been damaging for Maresca, or does this just show where Chelsea are, Charlie? They're always going to be a little bit up and down.
Yeah, I think it just shows where Chelsea are as a group and as a club. Young players trying to make their way in the Premier League, and the performances are up and down. But going to Bournemouth is not an easy place to get a result. And but let's say getting an injury to Delap and is a blow. But no, I think this is Chelsea at the moment in terms of inconsistent. They'll win a few games and they'll drop a couple of points. But I like Maresca. I think he's done a good job there in keeping it together. But when Chelsea are good, they're very good. And Cole Palmer obviously is a huge miss for them, and he's obviously missing again. But going to Italy to get a result against Atalanta, 14th in the Serie A, it gives them an opportunity to win another game in the Champions League and be secure with where they're going.
Yeah, Palmer getting back to full fitness and being able to play regularly is going to be a massive thing for Chelsea, especially when they don't seem to have that sort of killer instinct striker, not helped by the fact that Delap is facing another lengthy spell on the sidelines with a shoulder injury. He's had a stuttering start, hasn't he, since he walked through the door at Stamford Bridge, Crook?
Yeah, he's not played 90 minutes for Chelsea yet, which obviously is a big problem for him. I know that he's devastated by this latest injury setback, not least because it feels like there was an opportunity for him, if he could stay fit, if he could start scoring goals for Chelsea, to force his way into England's World Cup plans. Obviously, we're looking for an understudy to Harry Kane. Ollie Watkins still not in great form, but it feels like that opportunity is slowly slipping by when it comes to that. And again, it leaves Chelsea short, doesn't it? Because it was interesting that João Pedro was left on the bench when Delap was injured. They brought in Mark Guiu instead. I do wonder if they're potentially regretting sending Nicholas Jackson out on loan, because goals from Chelsea strikers, as you've already highlighted in the last few weeks, have been in short supply. And actually, I was with a Chelsea fan yesterday, and he said to me, we may as well have lost to Arsenal and beaten the other two. That point doesn't mean anything now because of what's happened in the subsequent couple of games. But I guess it just underlines that Chelsea aren't quite ready to challenge for the title yet.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that, because I think the game against Arsenal was sort of like a galvanising thing for the supporters as well. It was a brilliant... We were in the stadium. We were lucky enough to be there, pitch side. It was fantastic. It was great. I know you didn't like it, but everybody else did. It was like a proper contest, very combative, and Chelsea getting over the line with 10 players, I think, sort of sent a message that, there is something about this team. The problem is that there's usually something about this team in the massive games that they really have to perform in. And then they play Leeds and Bournemouth and they don't have the same spirit and the same energy. And you've got to get that week in, week out if you're going to be top title contenders. I mean, it was interesting, Charlie, you said, I like Maresca, I like what he's trying to do. Do you not think that sometimes in his bid to sort of rotate and manage his squad, he's a little bit of an over-tinkerer?
Yeah, I do think. I think he's not been able to. Well, he doesn't keep the same team back-to-back games. He likes to make a lot of changes, and that's something, continuity in a team. When you're a player, you want to play and you want to feel rhythm, and it is difficult when you're chopping and changing a lot. But when you got Palmer and Jeff, for me, he's been brilliant for them, and he makes them a different team. But again, I go, let's say you get a brilliant point against Arsenal. Is it a mentality? Leeds, Bournemouth, is that the difference between your Arsenals and your Man Cities and your Liverpools? That the mentality of the team is that we know how to win titles, we know how to win championships, and that'll come with the more experiences that they've had as a group and as a team. But I think if Maresca can try and get a stable team, 13, 14 players, and not deviate away from that too much, then I think it will help the group going forward.
Real Madrid take on Manchester City. It's a big glamour tie for Pep Guardiola in Madrid. Manchester City, I'm sure, will be relishing given the uncertainty that's surrounding Real Madrid currently. Only 2 points behind Arsenal now in the league. And the narrative around Manchester City this season, that they can't win the league because they're so leaky at the back, but are keeping scoring the goals at the other end, might just change over this Christmas period, Crook.
Yeah, it was a really good performance the weekend against a team who I thought would prove a tricky opponent. Didn't turn out that way. I think the biggest positive for Pep Guardiola is that Erling Haaland didn't score and they still won with ease. I thought Cherki was absolutely sensational. He's got so much individual quality, and that Rabona assist is going to go down as one of the passes of the season. Phil Foden seems to have found his rhythm again just at the right time, not just for City, but maybe in terms of getting in that World Cup squad next summer as well. And as you say, this is a good time, I think, to be going to Real Madrid, because I've read a lot in the Spanish media about the unrest there, about the fact that Xabi Alonso is fighting to save his job. So I think this is a real opportunity for City to get what would be a statement result.
Yeah, that Rabona cross, Charlie Adam, ever try anything like that?
No, unfortunately not. No, I'm not sure I can get away with it. When I seen that, the first thing that popped in my head was David Dunn's effort. Remember when he fell over?
Yeah.
That was, I remember that. But
that was at Blackburn, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was at Birmingham at the time. But anybody listening to this, go on YouTube and type in Ryan Cherki training with France under 21s, and he does a shooting drill, and he scores some of the best goals I've ever seen. So, like, this guy is a talent. I've seen him play for Lyon against Rangers a couple of years ago, and he was in the same team as Paqueta and things like that. And he's a wonderful talent. But Pep didn't want to give him too much plaudits for his Rabona, but he said, listen, this boy's a talent, but he has to do more off the ball, and he has to get used to the Premier League and how Man City want to play. But wow, it's incredible, and that's the personality he's got, and you need people that in the team and in your group to make things happen out of nothing. And I just hope he can get a good run in the team now. But he's a special talent, and when you've got somebody like him beside Foden, then this Man City team will start to motor now. And I still think they're the team to beat in the Premier League, and I've said it, you can never rule Man City out.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that they are a team that can put a run together in the second half of the season as well. They're used to doing that. They know that, okay, it's a few personnel changes, and it'll be interesting to see whether the new boys can settle and get into that same mindset. But there's enough there that have been through it before. And I think Pep Guardiola is getting them to that point where they'll be focused. They will tighten up as the season comes towards its end. And I think they'll give it a very, very, very good go of chasing down Arsenal. And with the gap only being 2 points, and the meeting, I think they meet now, don't they, Crook? Tell me if I'm wrong here. I think they meet in the next game after when do they meet? I was going to say after the transfer window, but maybe that's not true. We'll see. Anyway, when they do meet, it's going to be an absolutely huge clash. We mentioned Phil Foden and the fact that he is looking a little bit more like the PFA Player of the Year that we saw the other season. Why do you think that he has grown in stature again and started to come to the fore?
Well, probably only Phil Foden really knows the answer to that question, because it was perplexing, wasn't it, the way that his form tailed off, not just last season, but actually his demise decline started at the European Championships, when obviously England fans sung a song in his honour, but he just never got going in that tournament. And I do think he suffered a little bit of a Euros hangover as a result, but he's certainly right back in the groove now. And a few weeks ago, if you'd have asked me, will he be part of Thomas Tuchel's squad, I probably would have said no, but I think he's a shoo-in now to get himself a place on the plane. I think he's going to have a massive role to play for Manchester City between now and the end of the season. That Arsenal game, by the way, is not until mid-April, so 6 games before the end of the season. Could be absolutely...
That is going to be a title decider. Yeah.